Today's lesson is going to focus on factoring by grouping. Now, there's going to be a lot of colorful steps in here, but I'm going to try and explain it in a way so that you can visually see everything. You know that you're going to have to factor by grouping when you see not a trinomial, but you probably see a polynomial, so you see 4 terms. You're going to have to take it further to get our binomial times a binomial. So let's go ahead and take these notes first. So I'm going to zoom in here. Actually, let's go this way so you can see these notes a little bit better. Go ahead and pause it so that you can take these notes, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3, and even the stars in between, because there's little things that you need to memorize and know. Now that you've taken the notes, let's go step by step. So the first step says group 2 terms together and group the other 2 terms together. So we kind of want to check to see, do they have something that they have in common, right? It says make sure the 2 you group together have a GCF. You can rearrange them if necessary. Well, if I look at example number 1, x cubed and x squared, those have a GCF, and 5x and 5, those also have a GCF. So I don't think I need to rearrange this. I think I can keep it just as is, right? I don't have to play with it. When I do have to play with it, those get a little tougher, which, you know, is understandable. These problems are supposed to be a little bit difficult. And I see that all 4 of them, they don't have anything in common, so there's no larger GCF. So by doing this, we've now created 2 binomials, but that's not our final answer. Our final answer needs to include some sort of factoring so that when we do multiply it out, we get these 4 terms. So now we're going to factor out a GCF from each binomial. So let's start with the blue one. They have an x squared in common. So if I take out an x squared, I'm left with x plus 1. Do not forget that 1, right? Because you started with 2 terms, you should still have 2 terms. And then in the green, if I factor out a 5, I'm taking out a positive 5. Yes, that sign is super important to include that in the GCF, even if it is a positive. I think it's going to be useful in our 3rd step. So if I take out a 5, we are left with x plus 1. Again, do not forget that 1. Then we're going to see, for number 3, it says rewrite the binomial. Or actually, sorry, let's go back to that star and 2. It says binomial in parentheses should be the same. Well, let me check, right? These 2 are the same. Great, they're both x plus 1. If they're not the same, you have to go back and redo your GCF. What more could I take out? Or what less could I take out? Or maybe I need to rearrange it. Number 3, we're going to rewrite the binomial. One of the sets of the binomials is our same parentheses. So I'm going to put that in red, right? X plus 1. These are the same. So that gets put here as x plus 1, because that's like I'm factoring it out again, like as if I was taking it out again, right? So if you can visualize that GCF, x times x plus 1 being taken out, great. Then we're left with what was on the outside. It's what we factored out before. X squared plus 5. See the purple here? This is our final answer. You do not need to rearrange this for the x squared plus 5 to come first. That's up to you. You can also check your answer. All right, you can check it to see, well, if I FOIL this out, if I multiply it all out, do I get x cubed plus x squared plus 5x plus 5? You are going to want to check it so that it gets easier for you to do this problem. I want you to try number 2 before I show you the answers. Let's see what you got for example number 2 here. So if you see, these notes are super important here to help you with step by step on exactly what to do. And you still get your binomial times a binomial. Go ahead and finish this page and pause the video here so before you see the answers, you can practice it. Now that you've checked your answers, I do want you to try the next page, right? So bottom problems get a little bit trickier, right? Number 12, number 13 on the next page, you'll start to notice, wait, there's 6 terms. Like we said, you can factor by grouping for polynomials. They are a little bit harder, but it really does make you practice your skills. Go ahead and try those and then check your answers. I'm going to scroll to the answers. If you'll notice, number 1, you could only take out a big GCF because there were 3 terms here. And if you tried to factor the 12, factors of 12 do not sum to 3. It's not possible to do it. So that's why it stays like this. It's not prime because we factored out a big GCF, but that's from our last lesson. Go ahead and check your answers here for the rest of the factoring by grouping. You'll see that it happened again in number 6. And I'm gonna scroll again for the bottom half of this page. Again, numbers 12 and 13 are a little bit tougher. It's supposed to be a little tricky, so continue to practice this before we go on to the last lesson and do type 2 trinomials.